Imagine being born around the year 1700. This was a time when America did not even exist as a country. The land was covered with endless forests, freezing rivers, black swamps, and cold wilderness stretching farther than the eye could see. Small settlements struggled to survive between fear, hunger, disease, isolation, and endless labor. And above all of them, the shadow of the British Empire kept growing larger every single year. The forests felt alive. Tall black trees blocked the sunlight and covered the land for miles in every direction. At night, wolves howled deep inside the wilderness while freezing wind moved through the branches overhead. Many settlers believed the forests themselves were cursed. Some claimed they saw strange figures moving between the trees after sunset. Others whispered stories about witches, demons, and evil spirits hiding beyond the settlements. Your morning begins inside a dark wooden cabin. Dim sunlight slips weakly through the cracks in the walls. Cold air enters through every opening in the house. Your bed is nothing more than dry straw and torn blankets spread across the dirt floor. Fleas and bed bugs crawl across your skin while you sleep. Sometimes rats move near your feet during the night, searching for scraps of food. But by now, this has become normal life. You do not wake because of an alarm clock. You wake because of the freezing cold. The fire beside the family nearly died during the night. As you stand up, your bare feet touch the frozen dirt floor. The ground feels like solid ice beneath your skin. Your breath becomes visible in the cold air inside the cabin. A thick layer of smoke hangs across the room. The fireplace burned all night beside the family. Your eyes sting from the smoke. Children cough through the darkness while ashes float through the air. But without that fire, the cold could kill everyone before sunrise. In this time period, cleanliness barely exists. Many people truly believe water itself is dangerous. They think bathing opens the body to disease and evil spirits. You have not bathed in months. Dust, sweat, smoke, grease, and mud cover your skin like another layer of clothing. Your hair is tangled and stiff from dirt. Your fingernails are packed with black mud. Your clothes smell of smoke, sweat, and rotting grease. In the corner of the room sits a chamber pot overflowing with human waste. The smell spreads through the entire cabin. Rotting food, smoke, sickness, sweat, and waste mix together in the air. You pick up the heavy chamber pot and walk toward the window. Outside, the settlement is already covered in mud, manure, and filth. You dump the waste directly into the road below. Flies buzz through the freezing morning air. Rats crawl between piles of garbage beside the houses. But to the people living here, this smell is simply everyday life. Soon, hunger begins clawing at your stomach. You move toward the fireplace where last night's ashes still glow faintly red beneath the darkness. There is almost nothing left to eat except corn. Corn is the center of your entire survival. You crush hard corn kernels between two heavy stones. Your empty stomach twists tighter with every sound. The rough grinding sound echoes through the cabin. Sometimes children cry from hunger before sunrise. Sometimes there is not enough food for everyone in the family. The cornmeal is mixed with dirty swamp water. Sometimes a little stale animal fat is added for flavor. The dough is pushed directly into hot ashes and burning coals. Smoke fills the room while the crude bread slowly cooks beside the fire. A blackened ash cake finally comes out of the fire. It smells like smoke and burnt dirt. But this is your breakfast. As you chew the hard bread, tiny grains of sand crunch painfully between your teeth. You wash it down with a drink called small beer. At the time, alcohol is considered safer than contaminated well water. Many wells are filled with parasites, insects, and disease. Drinking bad water can kill entire families. Winter is the cruelest season of all. Snow leaks through the wooden roofs. Food becomes scarce. Animals die from the cold. Families burn broken furniture just to stay warm. Some settlers freeze to death in their sleep during the coldest nights of the year. Children grow up fast in this world. By the age of 6 or 7, many are already working every day. Little boys carry water, feed animals, and chop wood beside their fathers. Young girls clean waste, wash clothes, and cook beside the fire. There is no real childhood here, only survival. During storms, entire cabins shake beneath violent wind. Rainwater drips steadily through weak wooden roofs. The dirt floor slowly turns into cold mud beneath your feet. Families stay awake all night listening to the sound of trees cracking in the darkness outside. Sometimes settlers wake up and discover frozen animals lying beside their homes. Dead horses remain covered in snow near broken wooden carts. Starving dogs wander through settlements, searching for scraps of food. The smell of death slowly spreads through the freezing air. And still, the colonies continue growing. Ships continue arriving from Europe through thick morning fog. New settlers step onto muddy shores, carrying dreams of wealth and opportunity. But many quickly discover the brutal truth waiting for them. The New World is not a land of comfort. It is a land of endless labor, sickness, punishment, fear, and survival. If you are enslaved, your life is even harsher. You are fed pig ears, intestines, and scraps nobody else wants. The kind of food wealthy people would never even give to their dogs. Enslaved people sit on the dirt and eat with their bare hands. Iron chains cut into their skin. Old whip scars cover their backs and shoulders. And still, they must work another 12 hours in the fields. Before sunrise, plantation bells echo across the land. Hundreds of enslaved workers walk silently toward the fields through freezing mud. Overseers on horseback watch them with loaded weapons and leather whips. Anyone who slows down risks brutal punishment. The morning fog hangs low across the plantations. Cold wind moves through endless rows of crops, while exhausted workers bend toward the soil. Their hands bleed from endless labor. Mud sticks to their legs with every step. By midday, the heat becomes unbearable. Mosquitoes swarm around exposed skin. Sweat mixes with dirt and blood beneath the burning sun. Still, the work never stops. Some enslaved workers collapse from exhaustion beneath the heat. Others continue working while sick with fever. Because sickness means nothing to plantation owners. As long as the fields continue producing crops, human suffering does not matter. Punishments are public and terrifying. Sometimes enslaved people are tied to wooden posts in front of everyone. The crack of the whip echoes through the plantation fields. Children are forced to watch silently. Fear becomes another tool of control. Some workers lose consciousness after repeated beatings. Others are left chained for days without food. The scars remain on their bodies forever. Families are separated constantly. Mothers lose children. Husbands lose wives. People are bought and sold like animals in crowded public markets. At slave auctions, terrified families stand beneath wooden platforms while wealthy buyers inspect them like property. Hands touch faces, arms, and teeth, while prices are shouted through the crowd. Some children cry while being pulled away from their parents forever. Nearby, wealthy British merchants walk confidently through muddy colonial streets, wearing expensive coats and powdered wigs. The smell of perfume fills the air around them. Meanwhile, poor settlers stand barefoot in the freezing mud, trying to trade scraps of food just to survive another week. British taxes continue growing heavier every year. Poor settlers hand over crops, animals, tools, and supplies, while wealthy officials grow richer. Some families lose nearly everything they own, just trying to survive another winter. When you step outside the settlement, there are no real roads. Only muddy paths filled with manure, swamp water, dead animals, and waste. People often carry their shoes instead of wearing them, because destroying your shoes could ruin weeks of hard-earned wages. So most people walk barefoot through the freezing mud and dirty water. Suddenly, the sound of horse hooves breaks the silence. A large black carriage moves toward you through the muddy road. Golden decorations shine along its sides beneath weak sunlight. The carriage rushes past you, splashing mud across your face. Inside sits a British officer wearing white powder and a silk wig. The smell of expensive perfume follows him through the air. He does not even look at you, because in his eyes, your life is worth less than the dirt beneath your feet. His world and your world exist on the same road, but they are completely different realities. Behind the carriage walks a long line of chained slaves. Their hands are tied behind their backs. Blood drips from some of their feet onto the muddy road. The sound of iron chains echoes through the settlement like a warning. Under the harsh sunlight, old whip scars shine across their backs. Some slaves are so weak they can barely walk, but stopping only means more punishment. Some collapse into the mud while overseers scream at them to stand again. At night, plantation owners sleep inside warm homes, while enslaved workers crowd into small wooden cabins nearby. The rooms smell of sweat, sickness, wet clothes, and smoke. People sleep shoulder to shoulder on rough wooden floors. Even after endless labor, true rest never comes. Religion controls much of daily life. Church bells echo through the settlements every Sunday morning. People pray constantly for protection from famine, storms, sickness, and death. Many believe disasters are punishments sent by God. Churches become crowded during difficult winters. Candles flicker across frightened faces, while priests speak about sin, hell, and divine judgment. Children sit silently beside their parents, listening to terrifying stories about demons and eternal punishment. At night, fear spreads across the colonies. People whisper stories about witches, cursed forests, and evil spirits moving through the darkness. Some settlers keep iron nails or wooden crosses beneath their pillows for protection. Others refuse to leave their homes after sunset. Outside the settlements, endless wilderness surrounds everything. Strange sounds move through the forests after dark. Branches crack in the distance. Dogs bark suddenly into empty darkness. Every sound feels dangerous. Some settlers claim native warriors move silently through the forests at night. Others speak about entire cabins disappearing without warning. Whether true or not, the fear never leaves people's minds. Families keep old muskets beside their beds while weak fires burn through the night. Parents remain awake, listening to the wilderness outside their walls. Slowly, the sun disappears behind the black forests, and with it, a new kind of fear is born. In the year 1700, night was not just darkness. Night meant danger. Night meant death. You return home exhausted from endless labor. The same smoke, the same smell, and the same freezing cold waits for you inside. You light a rushlight. A piece of dried grass soaked in animal fat begins to burn with a weak orange flame. Toxic black smoke rises into the room and burns your eyes. Strange shadows dance across the wooden walls while wind shakes the cabin through the night. Outside, distant wolves howl somewhere deep in the wilderness. The entire family sleeps pressed tightly together because the warmth of another human body is the only heat you have left. Sometimes rain leaks through the roof and drips onto the floor while everyone sleeps. During violent winter storms, entire settlements disappear beneath snow and darkness. Food runs out quickly. People boil old leather boots and animal bones just to survive another week. Some families are forced to choose which child eats first. Dead livestock remain frozen beside roads and cabins. Horses collapse in the snow beside broken carts. The smell of death hangs over the colonies, even in freezing air. Disease spreads quickly through crowded settlements. Smallpox, fever, infections, and sickness move from house to house. Even a small cut can become deadly. Doctors know almost nothing about germs or bacteria. Entire towns become filled with coughing, fever, and death. The sound of church bells echoes almost every morning, not for celebration, but for another funeral. Graveyards slowly expand beside churches and settlements. Fresh dirt covers frozen ground in endless rows. Wooden crosses lean sideways beneath snow and rain. Some graves belong to entire families buried together after disease swept through their homes. In the corner of the room, a small child shakes with fever. His mother spends the entire night pressing a wet cloth against his forehead, but there is no medicine here. Near midnight, a local doctor finally arrives. He carries no real medicine, only a rusty blade and old superstition. He claims the child's blood has gone bad. The doctor slices open the child's arm. Dark red blood slowly fills a bowl beside the bed. The child screams in pain, while his mother cries helplessly beside him, but nobody can save him. Soon, the room is filled only with smoke, sweat, and the sound of the mother crying. Little by little, the child stops breathing. The cabin becomes silent except for the crackling fire. The next morning, the small body is wrapped inside a torn white cloth. A shallow grave is dug behind the cabin in frozen ground. No coffin, no name, no prayer. Within a few months, forest vines and weeds completely swallow the grave, and the world forgets that a child ever lived there at all. Death is everywhere in this world. Sometimes bodies remain inside homes for days because frozen ground is too hard to dig. Families grow used to loss. People disappear quietly from daily life and are rarely spoken about again. Even wealthy people live in constant fear. A sudden fever, infected wound, or brutal winter can destroy entire families overnight. No amount of money guarantees survival. Across the colonies, ships continue arriving from Europe. More settlers step onto muddy shores, carrying dreams of wealth and opportunity. Many quickly discover a brutal truth waiting for them. The New World is not a land of comfort. It is a land of endless labor, hunger, fear, sickness, punishment, and survival. And still, life continues. Children continue working beside their parents. Slaves continue marching into the fields before sunrise. Church bells continue ringing beside fresh graves. Smoke continues rising from thousands of freezing cabins scattered across the wilderness. Because in the America of 1700, survival itself was a full-time job. Hunger, disease, cold, fear, violence, punishment, and the constant shadow of death every single night. That was the reality of this world. The America of 1700 was not a heroic golden age. It was a silent scream of human survival. A world where simply living through the night was considered a victory. And perhaps it was that darkness which built the foundation of the modern world we live in today.